Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Answers from the Stairs. I'm your host, Chris Vester, and I've got with me someone who I actually just got to know and got to meet, I guess about 60 days ago, wasn't it, Patty? About 60 days
I,
ago?
I think that's a good estimate. Yes.
Yeah. We had a team that went up to visit you and your
Yeah.
team in Oklahoma to look at what you've got going on there. And they came back just raving about what they saw. In fact, one of my guys says, "There's no way that's really how a dealership functions." So
Well, it does.
yeah. And I had to convince him. I was like, no, it's like that's really how they do it. But I got Patty Tremonti. She is currently the CEO of MTN. And you've held that position since 2017, I think is what I found
Yes.
when I did my research.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, Patty, welcome to this conversation. I am super excited for people to hear
Yeah.
the lessons that you've learned in the time that you've been here in this space.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chris. It's just an honor to be here. I reflect back on that call 60 days ago and a 5-minute intro call. I don't know. I feel like it went an hour of just uplifting and just such a great time, each person sharing their story and all that God's done for us, where He's given us the ability to be. So it was great.
Yeah, I appreciated it a lot. It was really good. I left that call and went into my dad's office, and I was like, "You won't believe the conversation I just had. It was amazing." So I ask everybody the same question to kick
Sure.
off. Your birthday is January 21. You
Yeah.
can tell me the year. Not that you want to date yourself, but
Oh, I don't mind. 1967.
okay,
Quick
67.
math is
So
I'm currently 58.
yeah.
So
Um, I know you don't remember that date, but after that date, after you got here, you were born, and what was the first time you remember doing something that provided value that you were like somebody paid you to provide value for them? Like,
well, that's a great question. And by pay, do you mean actual money
yeah,
or?
so I've had people that talked about their allowance. I've had people that have
Sure.
talked about they ran um, a lawn service as a 10 or 12-year-old kid, and I've had people that delivered papers. I've had a guy that he was putting um, like the back pages of a Nokia cell phone was his first time people paid him for value. So there's been all
Oh,
kinds
that's
of
so great.
stories. So
Well, I think, Mr. Chris, what comes to my mind just immediately was there are four girls in my family. So I'm kind of oddly the middle child in a different way. I have an older sister. She's 15 months older than me. And then there's myself. And then I have a set of sisters that are twins that are 5 years younger than me. So it's kind of a little bit of a gap there. But I think the time that I can just recollect immediately, maybe offering or giving value for something that I did was helping my mom take care of my little sisters. When there's two of them, there's two people hungry, there's two of everything that needs to be done. And although I didn't get paid for it, she paid me in gratitude and thankfulness and her appreciation. So which, for some people, words of affirmation are just as valuable, or if not more, than an actual paycheck. So I think that that's probably when I can think that I added value the most, and I would have been right there at 5 years old.
it's good. That's a great example. And you're right. There's so often we overlook the fact that to a lot of people, it's not about the paycheck, it's about the fulfillment that comes from whatever that role is, right?
Absolutely. I think I read in a Harvard Business Review one time, it was, listing out what people want in a job, what's most important to them. And um, not surprising to me because I feel this is true is number one, people would stay at a position longer if they felt appreciated over pay. Pay wasn't the number one criteria for why I'm going to stay at the job or at the place that I'm at. And I think that that's really critical for people to remember. Sometimes we get in a place of management or supervision and we think, well, they're getting paid for that. Well, unless your name, unlike yourself here, but unless your name's on the building, and you're maybe a middle manager, you're not paying them. Somebody else is paying them for that job. And so your pay is through support and coaching and words of affirmation and even correction when needed, but done in the right way. So I think that people They say, people don't quit a company, they quit a person,
Mhm.
and it's typically their most immediate supervisor.
Yeah, that's a good message too. In fact, I don't know that I've ever heard anybody express it that way. Is you know, in that middle management part, that you're the what you're giving as payment for the service is exactly what you're saying. It's the leadership. It's the
Hmm.
sometimes it's the, like you say, words of affirmation, or sometimes correction.
But you know
Correction is the
what?
best form of encouragement. Sometimes, right?
Well, correction, I know people sometimes when you think about leadership, but there's a multitude of different faces of it. And one of them is correction, right? And that's not the one that, nobody, I don't know, I didn't for sure. I'm sure you didn't wake up this morning thinking, God, if I could just correct somebody today, it would be brilliant. I'd be the best leader. But I think back to my kids when they were learning, you remember teaching your kids like how to cross the street, it's such a easy subject, but you want to make sure that they're safe. And when they did it wrong or started to run out, you corrected them. It was because that you loved them and you wanted the best for them. So I think that when we correct, you have to do it in the right manner, or it does come across as um, hateful, derogatory or whatever, but you can really be a great coach, be a great leader, really appreciate, respect, and love your team and correct them at the same time.
One of the best pieces of advice somebody gave me, knowing where my heart lies, is he said, you understand truth and grace the way a lot of people don't. He
Mm.
goes, and if you're always giving someone the truth, but at the same time allowing for some grace, like it goes a long ways.
And you know what? I think that is something that I've always appreciated when somebody did that for me, right?
Mhm.
When they had mercy and grace for me as we learn and grow, even at, the age that we are.
Right. So, I, one of the neat things you share with me is your Kirkland's journey. Like
Oh, yeah.
you're in the automotive space now.
Yeah.
That's not where you were forever.
It was a
Um,
long time.
but you were at Kirkland's for from 1986 to 2005.
Yeah.
So you started out as a like that's 21 year old young
I was
lady.
pretty young.
Yeah. So tell
Back
me, I
in the
mean,
day.
but walk me through that process. Like why Kirkland's
Sure.
and what, number one, why Kirkland's in the beginning, and then what caused to step away from such a long career with them?
Sure. So why Kirkland? It was I just recently had been married for a couple of years and was looking for maybe more of a grown-up job along the way. And so went in and found a job there at Kirkland's. It actually was in the city that I live in, which is Tulsa. It actually wasn't open. And so I got to be there from pre-opening and getting the store set up. And I was just hired as just a person to come help get the store open and just really put my effort into it and was fortunate enough to be given a position there, a full-time position, a permanent position. And then just throughout the years, was able to work my way up and just have been really, I would say this, Carl Kirkland, Jim Harris, all those gentlemen that were with Kirkland's were really good to invest in me. And I appreciated that. They saw something in me and wanted to give me the opportunity to grow in that position. So I ended up as a district manager. I do want to say this from 95 to 1995 to 1998, I did take a little bit of a leave. My husband and I moved to the island of Maui and
Oh
lived there
wow.
for a bit. So, but came back directly to Kirkland's. And when I came back, I took on even a more senior leadership position, was a district manager. I was in charge of 6 states. Um, Traveled an awful lot. I would say I traveled somewhere between 47, 48 weeks of the year. And my husband graciously stayed at home, took care of our kids and raised them. And we have two amazing children, and I credit him for the time that he spent there while I worked. And yeah, I think Kirkland's just gave me the opportunity to grow and to be a leader. Having never been one, and then you transition into a little piece of a leadership position, maybe a closer at night, so you're responsible for closing the store, and then You grow into being a part of the team, and then people reporting to you, and then stores, and then lots of people, hundreds of people that are you're responsible for. So I think that gradual growth in leadership is critical. But at the same time, there was somebody trying to help me along the way. I think one thing that we do, Mr. Chris, that a lot of people do is they promote somebody only to set them up for failure. And what I mean by that is a lot of people have never been in a management or a leadership position, but they show great promise. They have great qualities. And I think in our industry, specifically the automotive, sometimes someone has just literally outlasted everybody else, right?
Right.
Or they have been the best salesperson. So if you're the best salesperson, surely you're going to be a great manager. And that's not always true. And so I think a lot of times we promote people, but then we don't follow up. One of the things here at MTN that we do is we go in and help people understand what it means to hold people accountable, what it means to lead somebody. How do you actually coach? Because those are situations and traits and skill sets that people aren't taught. They think they're going to happen, but they don't. So I was fortunate enough people help me out along the way. And, I love Kirkland. I think it's a great place. But I remember being in Kansas and it was like 9 o'clock at night. And I just had this, sometimes have you ever just had that burden? Like you just know that the Lord is talking to you. And I just remember calling my husband and I said, I want to come home. And I remember it was because on my drive up to Wichita, it was like a 3.5 hour drive. I just remember thinking about my kids and the people that I'm working with and for. And I thought, you know what? My kids will be around coming to me, spending time with me when I'm 80, if I pour into them, right? If I'm there, if I'm doing things with them. But right now, I'm giving a lot of time to people that won't. And so I wanted just to change. And that was a personal decision. It's different for everybody. But for me, it was I need to be home more and I need to be with my kids. And so I remember calling him, and of course, he immediately panicked a little bit, which is understandable. Like, what are you talking about? Like, come on, like I had had 3.5 hours and half a day to ponder this, right? I'd already gone through all the stages, and I just thought in this sweet little conversation at 9 o'clock that it was going to go great. And it's funny. I'll say this too. This is a little bit off topic, but I think sometimes we do that exact thing to our employees.
Oh,
Is
that's so good.
we do something right at the end of the shift, right at the end of the week when there's days off, so they don't get to react, they don't get to ask questions, they don't get the opportunity to walk through it. So we do something right before we go to bed. You say something to your husband or your spouse or kids, whatever, and you're like, I feel better. It's off my chest, right? And then they're supposed to go to bed and just oh, with all that weight on them. So I would just caution everybody when you're leading somebody, the best thing you can do is take care of a conversation early in the day, right? Let's get that off. Let's give them the opportunity to walk through it so that the person that goes home that day is a person who's happy, right?
Mm.
Because you've had the opportunity to walk them throughout what a correction may be. It could be a change, but you've given them the chance to be there with you so that you can help them out. But to do it at the end of a shift, just so that you feel good is a terrible thing to do. And
That is a good, wise piece, sage piece of advice there. That's really good.
it is, but I didn't learn from it because I did this to my husband at 9 o'clock at night. And so, and I remember we hung up and I just was sitting there in my hotel room like, okay, now what, right? And I remember the phone ringing like 15 minutes later, and it was my husband, Frankie. And he said, I thought about it. Let's do it. Come home now. And I said, sweetheart, it's 9:15 at night. I'm not driving home hours to get there. And I said, let me make next steps. And Kirkland's was gracious. They actually created a position. It was a trainer, and people came to me. So I got to be home, accomplished a lot, was able to train for them along the way, and people came to see me. But eventually I did leave. And I would say this Kirkland's was a great place to be, and they were always gracious. But I just knew that there was something different, something that I had always wanted to do. And I think everybody has that dream or that thought. Maybe it's I call it like the little chatter in the back of your head, like, what if you could do this? What if you could do that? And I had always wanted to just go out and be able to help people. And by helping mean go to a variety of different places and coach and train and teach and talk, whatever that looks like. And so eventually I had the opportunity to kind of step out of that um, and grow. But I took a different position, one that had a little bit more autonomy so that I could kind of do other things that I wanted to do and start growing that particular business of my own along the way. And so I stepped out of that and kind of tried to broaden my horizons and my knowledge too, right? And so it turns out later on in 2011,
Hmm.
I got a email or an invitation from John Maxwell asking me if I'd like to visit in Florida and with the opportunity to be a founding member of his leadership team. And so I went in 2011, was certified, and shortly after that, I did start my own consulting business and started working with people. Very gratifying. It is that thing that you do, right? It's like you're like, oh, I helped somebody today. But the one element, Mr. Chris, that I missed in it was um, I was by myself, right? I mean, because my husband's at work, he's not following me around cheerleading for me.
Right.
He would have if I'd asked, but he got his own job. And so I'd come home and be like, that was a great session. And I'm looking around like, high five myself. Like there was just, so I missed community
Hmm.
and I miss that consistent community because you go to these places but you're leaving them and then you're developing a new relationship and then you leave them. And so I really miss that consistency of a team. And so that was always something that still nudged at me. And God is good. God knows what you need at the timing that you need. And I think you just have to learn to be in tune and to, really think about a stranger's voice I won't hear. You don't be, crazy and just take jobs here and there and go all over the place. Like maybe this is it, maybe this is it. I wasn't chasing a hole that I had in me. I was wanting to make sure that I always moved forward with discernment and with what he had for me. So that sometimes that's saying no to things that really look great and sound
Right.
great, to do what you know is best. And I had a company, an automotive group, reach out and ask me if I could help with some of their dealerships, and had a really great time. We had just a great couple of days taking people, all their team in different waves came in, and we just walked them through sessions on, what do we do right? What do do wrong and what would you like for us to start doing? And so we just had a lot of great open dialogue. And then I went to another one of their stores and to another one of their stores and traveled and did that. And then they had asked if I had ever done Gino Wickman's traction, and I had, and they asked me for some help on it along the way. And then one day I just remember the CEO and part owner of the Nelson Auto Group in Oklahoma, Brandon Murphy, called and said, it would just be easier if you worked here. Then we wouldn't have to work in between your schedules, your other clients, and that team, right?
Mhm.
But it was the right team for me, just their beliefs, their culture. It was the right team for me to really link arm in arm with. Chris, it's not what you do necessarily, it's who you get to do it with.
Mhm.
And these are the right people to do it with. So I came on as a training manager for them, trained all the different positions, and just really dove in, helped them, of course, with I would say reorganizing, but like really taking traction into play and setting like how meetings should work and just those type of activities. And then that was in 2017 when I joined them. And then in 2020, Mr. Nelson heard Brandon and myself talking to somebody in 2017, 2018, 2019. Had the opportunity to work with Brandon. We created some processes, the ones that your team came to see,
Right.
one for service, one for sales, and then, of course, one for management. And we created those that they just do, it's just business done differently. It's what customers said they wanted, not, in the automotive industry, it's funny to me that we have these processes and we're like, customers are going to love it because it's easy and it's best for us as the
Right.
industry. Customers don't like that. First of all, they
Right.
don't want to be part of your process, but um, they want to do things the way they want to do them. And
Mhm.
we're still sometimes stuck in this is how we've always done it. This is how it has to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
We've got to meet people where they're at. And so we had the opportunity to create those and it got some notoriety and people started coming, asking to come see it. Well, in doing that, we were busy, right? You're still working. And we felt like we just weren't giving people the right amount of attention when they came here because really we want other people to succeed. We think there's enough blessing for everybody,
Right.
nothing to hide. So in 2020, we talked about, taking this show on the road. And in February 1st of 2021 is when we created MTN, which stands for Mountain Automotive Training Systems. Um, February 1st of 2021, which is what everybody does in COVID, is create a business.
So true.
But we did. And, we were just fortunate. There was some great reception to it. We had a couple of different OEMs also reach out and adopt our service process. So that's what we've done. Here at MTN, the team that I get the opportunity to be a part of, to lead every day, is just the best people. Their goal is really to serve other people. And we have great people that happen to be great trainers and great consultants,
That's
but
good.
it's just we're blessed. Today we have 17 people on our team, and um, each of them have the foundational trait that they are great at serving other people.
Mm.
And um, that's what they get to go and do. We most recently we've partnered with a technology company that has us going in to train their technology and along the way. So even in just ways that God gives us, opens up new directions or new opportunities for us. Um, I love it because I think that our team just gets more of an opportunity to go out and to be a blessing to other people.
That's good. That's real good. So, because MTN is a separate entity, like the dealership group said, okay, we're going to create this now training company
Yep.
that you're the CEO of.
Yep. We
What
have
key, what key challenges were you identifying in the dealership operations that inspired that? Like you gave us the walk into that, but like, can you go back and think about, okay, these are the key things that we focused on as we created MTN?
the processes that we created. Absolutely. Well, first of all, we'll start in service is, retention is a huge word. Retention is always a huge word. Um, but when you go to the fundamentals of it, it was, again, we were just doing service the way that it's been done for 30, 40 years. It's just always has had the same feel. And honestly, by CSI scores, it's not been great, right?
Right.
It's never been great the same way to do it, but yet there hasn't been a new way to do it, or there's the fear of change, or, honestly, service departments are super busy and you just think it's going to take me forever to get that written and changed and to do and to train. And that's where our team comes in and helps because our only focus is your team. And so we get to go in and do that. But the key element that I would say first was I think that, when you look at it and you say, what makes you different? What really makes you different? And so we had done the exercise, sat down, what makes us different? And you can say a million things, but when it came down to it, you may offer this. Well, somebody else actually does. You may do this, and somebody else does. And really, when we got down to it, Mr. Chris, this is kind of embarrassing. But what we finally figured out that sets us apart is that we're a little bit nicer, in our opinion. So, so I don't really know, but we thought that that's really the only thing that set us apart was we're a little bit nicer. And then you start looking at your CSI scores and your retention, like, we're just not getting enough credit for the great people that we had working for us, right? We have great people that are serving people, But it was, we were asking them to do that in a really broken system. And when you're working in a broken system, it's just going to be hard to excel and to meet people where they are. And then come along really real quickly after that, COVID changed the way customers want to be treated and want to be interacted with. So, you know what we did, Chris? We just started asking customers sitting out on the drive in the lobbies when they pull up. Thousands of surveys and emails went out, just asking them, what is your ideal service? And what don't you like? And the first thing that I would say that people do not like, the overwhelming was this, is they don't like to be immediately sold on the drive.
Mm.
They feel like you don't even see me as a person. So a fundamental change is the first interaction is always, always about the customer. Simply this, how are you doing today? And make it about the person first. People feel like they don't even get seen anymore because they're like, well, what are you in for an appointment today? I see you need this, and you're gonna need this, and you're gonna need this, and then this, and here's how much it is. And it was never even like, how are you as a person? And I think when we pause and start focusing on people first, it changes everything. Um, I think about this, Chris, there are some people that will come into one of your drives today and the only person their entire day that they're going to talk to is one of your service advisors
That's good.
because they live by themselves, they don't work, they don't get out house. And you know, when you think about that opportunity that you're the person who is going to make them feel worthy and seen and heard and special today, it changes everything in how you interact with people.
That's really good, especially in like I'll say today's world, because you're right. I mean, 5 years ago did change the landscape of so many different businesses where so many people were working independently from their home for a company from home. And
Yes.
that definitely changed the way society as a whole interacted. And the idea of that you may be the only person they touch today is so true. And like, how are you going to show up in that moment of opportunity? Right.
Yes. And you have to prepare yourself, right? Because
Mhm.
everybody's got their own stuff,
Right.
right? I mean, everybody's got their own stuff going on, and you're like, now I got to go in and make somebody's day. But it's amazing how your perspective and how your demeanor will change when you take your eyes off of yourself. Like, what about me? And you start focusing on other people. When you start focusing on other people, you just inherently become a happier person along the way.
No doubt. So I mean, I have I'm a massive John Maxwell fan, and I think
Mhm.
I told you that before. I love his story. I love everything about his story, the way he puts information out there, what he's grounded in. But I've studied enough to remember the 5 pillars of
Mm.
that he talks about with noticing people, coaching, listening, communicating, and understanding learning styles. Like that's as I'm hearing you say in MTN,
Yes.
like you're taking all of that Maxwell theory and
Hmm.
putting it into true application in a space that really probably doesn't have a lot of familiarity with those 5 things. But what you're saying is we're proving those 5 things are true regardless of the silo of business you're in. It's just like this is just how great customer experience and leadership and like it's just how it works. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I think you go back to just all the basics. We were taught as children to be nice to each other. And somehow the older we got, sometimes we forgot that. And people do like that. We're also very passionate about hospitality, about how people feel. And I think that, when you meet other people's needs, whether it's a water or whatever, then they're more apt to listen to you, right? I think one of John's sayings is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so you can be the smartest person in the room, but if people feel like you don't care about them, everything that you're saying is just falling to the wayside. And I think, a lot of our structure here at MTN also. And John's a pastor. You can go hear him as a teaching pastor there in Florida. Also, just comes from the foundational of we want to go into all the world, right? That's our goal is to go and be a light. We want to be, one of our core values is trust in God. And it's not just for us. Obviously, it's not a core value that it's not mandatory that people trust in God or believe, but for us that do, it's how I run the group. It's I trust in God for their security, their prosperity, their health, their families. Like it's just a basic foundational trait that we have built this on. Mr. Nelson has built the dealerships on, and again, it's not one that we evaluate people on, but it is one that we keep in our forefront. But I think that you got to meet people where they are. People have to feel loved and seen and appreciated and led, right? And and when you do and you do it well, your business will grow.
You're, you and I had a lot of conversation around the way the dealer group operates. Like, I mean,
Mm.
everything the dealer group touches. I mean, you obviously have lots of tentacles into the space. Um, but prioritizing employee care and
Okay.
retention, team building activities, and tons of charitable giving. How do you think that's led to a sustainable business growth? And if someone's listening to this, what
Hmm.
advice would you give them as practical steps to take to foster that kind of culture?
Well, I think you have to go about it with the right heart, right? Because you can strive to, we want to give so we can say we give, right? And people can pat us on the back. And that's the wrong motive. That's never a great way to do it. So I think you got to be careful about what your intent is and to make sure that you're doing it with truly a pure heart in mind. And so I think, you have to make sure that people um, know that what you're expecting of them to give to the clients. Like, we talk to especially our sales team, our service advisors, right? Like, you got to be nice. You got to take care of them. Go get them some water. Like, we're telling them all these things to do that would be seen as great. And they are, give people water, pay attention to them, say what they're saying back to make sure that you can affirm that, give them really some great words of affirmation on the car they bought, the work they did. All of those things are great, right? And we're asking, and almost, I would say, some cases, demanding that our teams do that for customers. And I think sometimes in the industry, what I've seen is it's hard for people to do that because they haven't even experienced it themselves
Mm,
through their leadership.
right.
So you're asking me to do all these nice things for our customers, and you haven't even asked me about my kids, or you haven't, you know, my 5 year anniversary here just kind of faded by. And I was proud of the 5 years I was here, but nobody else seemed to be proud that I was here for 5 years. So I think that that's the first thing is you got to make sure that you're taking care of your employees the exact same way that you want to take care of your customers. And that's always a great start. We are fortunate. We do love to serve. And I think that that's one thing, Mr. Chris, that people, I think people would be surprised about how many of their employees want to go serve somewhere. Like they've had that thought. Those typical things come up maybe more around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you think, oh, I should go serve at a homeless shelter, or I should go do something. But maybe people have that. They have that desire to do that. They just don't know how to do it, or they kind of timid. They don't want to go do it by themselves. And so I think one thing that you can do for a dealership or your company in general is make sure that you're creating the opportunity for your people to serve and serve together. When they get to go in for the first time, we've done Meals on Wheels, and I would say of all of them, that's probably one of the ones that's been most impactful to me. It's because you're going to a person's home that is desperately lonely and is in need of some nourishment. And it's that you're there. It's real. It's them. begging you to stay for just 5 more minutes, right? Um, and so I think it's always good to go in together with somebody to experience that, to have people with you. And I think one great thing that people can do is start organizing events where your people can go and serve together. There's even opportunities, Mr. Chris, where people, organizations will come to your dealership even and do a function there so that your team doesn't have to leave and they don't have to do it after hours or whatever. And like technicians can come out for 20 minutes at a time and serve and do stuff and go back, and your business is still running. And people, there's customers in there, but sometimes I've seen customers pitch in and help.
Hmm.
Like it gives them an opportunity to do something. They're like, I didn't know you guys were going to do this. I've always wanted to. And one of those I can think of is one time we brought in, gosh, I hope I say this right, Blue Star Mothers, and they package those boxes, right? And but they have all of the items that go into these boxes individually. So, they may be packing boxes to send overseas, but it requires putting 30 things in there. And they just bring the tubs of all the items, and that box just goes down the line, and people get to come out and put the stuff in, take turns. And that's an activity that can be done on site. Backpack giveaway,
Hmm.
just completed that. 3,200 backpacks given away with supplies. That is just a great opportunity for your team to get out together, pray for the cars as they're coming through, hand bags out, backpacks out with the bag of supplies. So I think that's one critical thing is you need to help your team know how to give and find ways for them to serve. And I think that it's always so touching because when you give, you think we're going to do this, it's going to be great, we're going to bless people, we're going to do this, and I got to tell you, the people that walk away the most blessed and the most changed are those that are serving
Yeah.
because you you just are you can't go to someone's house who hasn't seen a person in 7 days and who's desperate and not leave changed and not leave knowing um, that you're a different person because of that person.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. We like you. We've been doing backpacks. I think this was either year 17 or 18. And we supplied about a third of the need for the county that we're in.
Wow, that's such a blessing.
And it's like you gave the idea of the customers getting involved. Just this
Mhm.
last time, like we do one event to pack them, and then another event where the school system comes and picks them up. And the packing event, I look down the line, I'm like, they don't work here. Like they were customers that were in
I love
service, and I'm
it.
like, hey, what are you guys doing? So they, again, and it lets another one, it lets the public know, hey, these guys really do this because
Yeah.
they care about the community. But you're right, it's the ones that are serving that walk away the most blessed. It's been my experience when I'm serving that I am the one that
Oh
walks
yeah.
away blessed.
Absolutely. So I think when you're doing it, I think, I will say this, Mr. Nelson and Mr. Murphy, two amazing men that I have the opportunity. One is the M and one is the N and MTN. But I've had just have been blessed beyond measure by the two of them that number one, that they would trust me to enough to form a company that we could have the opportunity to go out to other people. But it's who they are. It's who they are every day.
Right.
That's just thrilling to be around and to see, um, and to see how they themselves are always continuously growing too, right?
Mhm.
And striving to do more and be better. And I just want to say that that's part of it too. They know their people. They'll go into the dealerships. They're back in there with the technicians. They're in the BDC. They're in detail. They know those people, and they're making it a point to know those people. And I think that that's just inspiring. That no matter what your success is, if you know your people, they will, you will have retention. You will have employee retention and you will have customer retention because when your team is healthy and happy and fulfilled and taken care of, they'll take care of your customers. And that's one thing that Mr. Nelson and Mr. Murphy have always stressed is we're going to take care before we give to others. We're going to make sure our team is fine, right? Is there somebody that's hurting or has a need? And we're going to fulfill that first. We're going to take care of the family first, and then we'll go out from there.
That's awesome. So a couple more questions. We like on our one of the things that we have in common, I believe, is that we don't shy away from the role of faith in our life. Um, how has your faith played? What role has it played in your career choices? Because you've stayed places for a long time, right? Um, but how's it changed or help you make better business decisions, develop better business practices? Um, like practically creating simple systems that you know people people don't like to say this, but our country was based on a certain set of values, right? They want to
Absolutely.
say there's a separation of church and state. I understand that, but that doesn't mean that our country wasn't built on a set of values. So, how have you seen your faith play out as when it comes to your business walk?
Well, I would hope others would say that my faith is an integral part of who I am. Um, I think the decisions that we make, we're careful to pray about them, to seek discernment before we partner with another company. We're always careful to do that. We want to make sure that this is that we're always operating in truth and integrity, that we don't get up to we're not operating in the gray. It's either yes or no. And I think that the team that is here appreciates that. They know that that's our mission, that's our heart, that's what we intend to do. And I don't, I maybe it's just because I'm from Oklahoma, Chris. I don't know, but I can't separate who I am.
Right,
Like I just can't come to work and be like, okay, now this is work, Patty.
right,
And she's just going to be, a hot mess and yell at people and make poor decisions and operate with a lack of integrity. I just can't do that. It's just, I, I want to be the person I was created to be, right? Always. I want to be honoring of that. I want to make sure that the gifts and the talents that God gave me is used at all times. I want to do that as a mom, as a wife, as a daughter, as a friend, as a coworker. I just want to be that person. And I think that when you decide it's okay to have faith, like you don't have to apologize for it. It's just who I am. I think it's Saint Francis that's attributed to this saying that preach the gospel at all times and when necessary use words. And so that's the life that I have chosen that I want to live. I want to be a life that shines for him, that draws people to him. That's just me. That's what I want to do. And that's how I'm going to run this company. I just want to be a beacon to people. I want to help people. And, Romans 12:18, it's a great scripture that I like. And it says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you. So as far as it depends on me, live at peace with everyone. And I take that. Like today, I just want to live at peace with everybody. That doesn't mean that you get walked over. I mean, you run a business, you're gonna have to do it well, but I can still operate in peace and thrive and grow the company for the team, right? I want MTN to grow because I want my team to have more opportunities along the way. And really, Romans 12:18 says that, but the PLT, my version, summed up is Patty, you don't always have to be right
that's good.
or the most important person in the room.
That's good. That's really good.
Like, you just don't. I don't have to be right. I don't have to correct somebody when the story doesn't make a difference. One thing I strive never to do is correct my husband in front of other people. If he's telling a story and he's got the wrong state or the wrong person in it, I just let it go. It doesn't matter. And what does it prove for me to correct him about something so insignificant, right? So if it is all possible, as far as it depends on me, I'm just going to live at peace with everybody.
That's good. That's really good. Two more questions. Can you describe a major setback or failure that you've encountered in your journey and what key insights did you gain that helped you pivot
Sure,
towards greater success?
sure. So this would be back years ago when I was with Kirkland's. I trusted somebody um, uh, to who was in a leadership position at one of my stores, and I had that check in my spirit. Like you just like sometimes something's just not right, and you become dismissive of it. You're like, you're just being too hard today. You're not really paying attention to them. You're not giving them the benefit of the doubt, and you start thinking of all these things, right? All these excuses because you just can't believe that someone who's worked for you for so many years wouldn't be loyal, right? And so I started making excuses for them and think that's not right, but it's got to be me. Like I'm seeing it wrong. I'm not being a good boss because I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt. And um, come to find out, they were being dishonest, and it crushed me because um, I didn't do what I had that inkling. The Lord was trying to tell me like something's not right here and you're not taking care of it. And I felt bad too because I felt like I'd let the rest of the team down too by letting somebody that I just knew something wasn't right. I knew that I knew that I knew, but I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it could be true. And so I ignored it. And then when it came to fruition that there had been some theft, um, I was just devastated. Um, and mad. And so what I've really learned to do since then is you can't stay there in that pit of sorrow, right? What was me? But I am more conscientious of when I feel like something's wrong, that first inclination, I am like, I'm gonna pay attention to that. I'm not gonna let it go this time.
Right. Right.
And not because of me, and I don't want to be heartbroken again, but I think about the other people that were working around that person.
Right.
They had to know something, and they were probably depending on me to make it better, and then I failed them. So I would say that I really tried to make sure that I operate in discernment a little
Mhm.
better. Like the first inkling, I'm
Right.
on it.
Yeah.
Like, but not to be too critical, not to just be so suspicious of everybody,
Right.
right? So there's that balance that you have
Yeah.
to come in to as well. So that was something that I just learned a great lesson on.
Yeah. That's good because it's not suspicious but investigatory. Like you're just going
Oh
to make
yeah.
sure you're just going to study it. That's good. I
That
really
I'm
like that.
being I'm being I hate to say this word, so I don't really know how to say it. The supervisor, boss, I mean, all those words are just so
Ugh.
I'm
Right.
a good girl. But I'm a shepherd to these people. And as a good shepherd, I'm going to make sure that anytime I feel like something is not right, that I'll take care of it immediately.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You have given some amazing insights. I'm going to ask the hardest question. Looking back, what's one piece of advice? That's really hard for people to do. I mean, we've got not a lot of years under the belt, but a plenty, right?
Mhm.
And that you'd give to your younger self
Mm.
starting out in the same space. And how has that mindset that you have now contributed to the success of MTN?
I think I'd have to go back to what I just talked about a minute ago. I don't always have to be right. There's a book by Dr. James Dobson called The Strong-Willed Child, and
Mm-hmm.
when I was growing up, my mom had a paperback copy of that. It was tattered. She's like, he wrote this about you. And as when you're 4 or 5 or whatever, you're like, well, that's awesome. A book written about me. I didn't understand at the time that that probably wasn't a compliment. But just, if he ever listens to this, Dr. James Dobson, I turned out pretty okay, I think.
Right.
Be proud. But I had a strong will. And I think that what I would take and say that I would do differently is just going into it with more of a servant's heart immediately. Like I grew into that. I grew into wanting to serve others and not having to be, um, we all know the person who's out there constantly trying to make themselves like, see me, I'm in charge, I'm in charge, I want to do more, be proud of me. I I would rather cheer for you. Like there's just enough in this world for all of us to have some, accolades or whatever. And it don't really, like, I just wouldn't seek man's accolades
Mm,
because they're fleeting, right? So really, I think I would tell myself that, like, I don't have to be right and I can live in peace. And that's what I would probably change is instantly just knowing now how to be a servant leader, right? Doing that from the very beginning.
that's good. That is really good. Well, Patty, I am super, super grateful for your time today. I think it's been great. There's no way somebody's going to listen to this and go, yeah, there's no value. That's a ton of value you dropped in a
Oh,
very short amount of time. And I am super grateful.
well, to God be the
Super
glory.
grateful.
It's fun.
So if people are interested in what you're
Oh,
doing there or finding you as a person individually, what's
sure.
the best place for them to connect with you? I know that you and I are connected on LinkedIn, so I know
Yeah,
you're there.
LinkedIn's a great spot. Patty Tremonti. It's Tremonti. And it's Patty with an I. And so you can find me there on LinkedIn. Here at MTN, we're happy to connect with anybody. We're always looking for partners and places we can come help make a difference and train people. And my email here at MTN is Patty, so PATTI at trainwithmtn.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so, so much.
Oh, it's been
And
so great to
I'm
visit with you again,
so
Mr.
appreciative.
Chris.
So appreciative. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. It would be so much fun. So thank you. Thank you for having me on. And if I can ever be of assistance to anybody that hears this, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, I believe that. True servant heart. True. All right. Thanks.